Stories of early Poland. Before the 10th century, Polish history was handed down by word of mouth from generation to generation. Many fabulous folk tales and legends crept into the record, but all the stories, whether strictly true or not, are most entertaining and give an interesting picture of the life of the early Poles. Since Poland was surrounded by hostile nations, Polish boys from an early age were given military training. The Poles were expert horsemen and skilled in the use of arms. The early Polish warriors followed the custom of shaving their heads. This was a protective measure since in those days of hand-to-hand combat, men with long locks often found themselves at a fatal disadvantage on reaching the age when he was capable of bearing arms. A Polish boy had his long hair cut off. The ceremony was usually celebrated with a feast and games. One of Poland's earliest military celebrities was the chieftain Przemysław, famous for his cunning stratagems. Once, when Poland was invaded by a horde of Pannonians, Przemysław saved his own little force and fooled the enemy by the use of camouflage. One morning, the Pannonians, expecting to have only a small body of Poles to deal with, were astonished to see in the distance a great army drawn up in battle array. The Pannonians advanced cautiously. Much to their surprise, they found this army to be nothing but trees and bushes which the Poles had fashioned to look like the forms of armed men. By repeating this stratagem several times, Przemysław lured the invaders into an ambuscade and utterly routed them. In the 9th century, when a duke died leaving no heirs, there were many claimants for the ducal throne. It was finally decided to settle the question by a horse race with the crown as the prize. One of the claimants stooped to trickery. On the night before the race, he secretly planted sharp spikes in the course, covering them with sand and leaving only a narrow path through which a single rider might pass without striking the spikes. This base trick was discovered by a youth named Leszek, one of the contestants who had suspected treachery. When the race was run, the youth followed directly behind the villain and came safely through the spikes, finishing in second place, while the other riders, their horses lamed, were left far behind. When the victor was about to receive the prize, the youth stepped forward and exposed the cheat. The villain was at once dragged off to just punishment, while the crown was bestowed upon the youth.